Hey gang, today we're here to talk about different carry positions and the pros and cons of each. Now we all know there's plenty of carry positions out there. There's everything along your waist. We have ankle carry, we have shoulder carry, we have off-body carry and things like that. But we're going to actually talk a little bit about the pros and cons of more of the popular hip carry methods. Now, the other one that's a little bit popular that we've already addressed in a different video is the off-body carry. In a previous video, we actually talked about the pros and cons of the off-body versus, say, the hip carry. So we're not going to talk much about the off-body today. We're going to focus on the 3 different hip positions that people most popularly carry in. And that is the appendix, the traditional 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock position, and then the small of the back, which is the 6 o'clock position. So let's talk about the appendix carry first. Now, the appendix carry, depending on if you're lefty-righty, you're either carrying at the 11 o'clock as a lefty or 1 o'clock as a righty. So basically where your appendix would be or is, depending if you still have one, okay? But the appendix carry, and Brendan will demonstrate the appendix carry because he's actually out there right now. But the pros to the appendix carry. So let's talk about that, Brendan. So one of the pros to the appendix carry is?
Speed.
Speed.
Accessibility to the firearm when you're sitting down or at different locations when you're otherwise your back would be restricted.
Right. So speed, and the simple fact that the position of the firearm, okay, as it relates to getting out, the path that it takes to getting out and into the fight, so to speak, is shorter than the other 2 positions. So pound for pound, assuming all things are equal, it is faster in that sense. What's another pro?
Another pro is that for smaller dudes, right, you're able to carry somewhat of a bigger firearm because this pretty much has almost the same concealability as like small to back, as long as obviously you do chest out, right? You don't do lumped up. But so this full-size Glock, I won't be able to hide it at a 4 o'clock position. So I either do small to back, which is I don't like, or appendix carry. Right?
Okay.
So you can.
And actually, that brings up a good point. Body type does play a role in the selection of where you carry, right? And what Brendan was talking about, your posture, how you stand, will either help or hurt your concealability. So if he's standing up straight as he should, then in his case, it may help him conceal. Now, think about it. We're talking about the typical male posture, and even the woman's posture to a certain degree is similar to this effect, is that the waist should be slimmer than the shoulders, okay? So if the cut of your shirt is tailored to your shoulders, then you have more breathing room around the waistline for concealability than the other way around. Now, if your waist is bigger than your shoulders, then that makes it a little bit more difficult and you have to be a little bit more clever. Yeah. So that would be a pro because you can conceal a larger firearm based on how your shirt hangs off your body if you're standing up straight and you have more room down here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the negatives with appendix.
Negatives, right? Does holster selection for appendix carry? Only a few of them work when you're sitting down.
Yep.
But a lot of the majority of them don't design the gun to be like when you're sitting down.
Right.
Okay. So
a lot of them don't.
Highly uncomfortable to sit down. Like I probably have so many appendix carry holsters that I've gone through all throughout the years, and this is the first one that I've found to be extremely comfortable when sitting down. So
right. So sitting is an issue. In fact, which is why we have a chair here. So most people, if they're appendix carrying, okay, you ask them, hey, have a seat, and it's more like, no, thank you. And when they do sit down, okay, now assume a position. They will sit like this where they're sitting back and trying to straighten out their core because they don't want that gun uncomfortably digging into their hip, okay? So another thing about appendix carry, by and large, sitting down is not a fun task, and sitting down for prolonged periods of time is not a fun task, okay? What's another negative aspect of?
It's negative, positive, depending on the type of training that you have, right?
Yep.
Negative in the sense that if me and Ernie were actually positive in the sense that if me and Ernie were in a fight and you know how to do hands-on stuff,
right, hand-to-hand training,
you can actually defend the gun right from to a certain extent.
So you make your ability to fight with your hands a positive, really mitigating. Moreover, is you're mitigating the negative aspect of the appendix carry because
The negative of it is that if you don't know how to fight with your hands, and somehow this happens,
Because
right?
clothes move.
Clothes move around, and I try to grab it. Me and him are now fighting for the gun, right? And I can't rotate my body right, left, or right, and then kind of get away the gun from him. Versus if the gun was back here, then if me and him were fighting, all I have to do is step back and kind of put the gun away. It'll slow him down, not necessarily not allow him to take it, but it's a pro and con depending on the type of training that you have. So
right. So, and this is a thing that we think is wildly overlooked in the carry world, is that appendix carry is very popular these days. But wildly overlooked is that one should consider their ability to defend that firearm in a hand-to-hand fight. If you are good on your hand-to-hand skills, okay, fine. But if you are lacking on your hand-to-hand skills, then I would caution you on that appendix carry, because if you have access to that firearm, so does your bad guy, okay? So now let's take a look at a couple other carry methods. So let's talk about the traditional carry method, which is either the 4 or 8 o'clock position. Now, as you all know, I'm lefty, correct-handed, so I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate this in the 8 o'clock position. So right now, I'm carrying my firearm in the 8 o'clock position. Same thing is true. The pro about the attire and the body type, which is one of the other pros that Brendan mentioned, is I do want to stand up straight. The butt of the firearm is going to hug the small of my back. So if I am slouched, you'll start to see the printing of that firearm through my clothes. So you do still want to stand up straight so that firearm hides in your shirt, right? Same thing about the cut of the shirt and the body type. Another positive of the traditional method is its comfort, okay? I could be in this rig all day long and it is no problem. I can sit down. In any position that I want, slouched, regular. If you work in an office environment, hang out, okay? So the traditional carry method is wildly comfortable in comparison to the appendix carry, okay? And most holsters are that way, because really what happens is the rig is not fighting the bend of my body, it is outside of that movement, okay? Another pro of the traditional carry method is the ability to defend it, okay? Now, you still need good hand-to-hand skills to defend anything. However, if Brendan and I get into a hand-to-hand fight, I can simply step back, rotate this hip, and take that gun more out of reach from him. Now, again, it's not a catch-all. All it does is delay, okay? It gives me a little bit more time, a little bit more opportunity. I still want to have good hand-to-hand skills. My arms are here, so really if you have somebody coming around your side trying to get to that gun, they've got to fight your arm because your arm is draped over where the firearm is. So that's another positive as far as defending it. Now a negative of the traditional carry, again, pound for pound compared to the appendix, it is going to be slightly slower, okay? That's a training thing. I know folks that can be just as quick in the traditional carry method stacked up against an appendix carry, and they're just fine. So all things being equal though, it has a greater path to get employed into that fight, okay? What's another negative of the traditional?
Negative for a 4 o'clock carry, right, or 8 o'clock is that you have to at least have better situational awareness. Okay?
You do.
It is very easy to print back there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's easy. I'm sorry. It's easy not to catch that you're printing.
Right.
Okay. Because here you kind of see in your peripheral that your shirt's up and down. In the back here, I see it all the time, man. People get lazy, and then the gun and the butt of the gun is not showing. So
yes,
that's one thing. And then situational awareness is key. Because yes, you can fight the gun, but they can also sneak up to you, right? Which is like I said, if you're at Home Depot or Lowe's and you're trying to reach down for whatever you're reaching down, right? That gun will show up if you don't do a proper lunge, right? Like we teach at the class.
Right.
So that's one of the few cons. And then one more con is that if you're right-handed and you're sitting in a car, that seatbelt's going to be around your gun, so train to that as well.
Right.
So.
Right. If you're left-handed or correct-handed, that seatbelt latch is not going to be there.
Yeah, or have your wife drive you around so that the
that's that works out too. Yeah, for sure. Or do right-hand drive.
Do right-hand drive. Yeah.
All right. Right now, let's talk a little bit about the small the back carry. Now, there's not much going for the small the back carry, okay? But the small the back carry, as Brendan is adjusting to, okay, When you stand up straight, yes, you can hide the firearm very easily because the small of the back will hide that. Again, the cut and the hang of the shirt will have some more room down here, so you're fine there. Now, the other pro, if there is one, to the small of the back carry is standing, by and large, comfort, okay? So it's comfortable, right, for Brennan to stand and move about the cabin and do what he does, right? Now, going into the negative, okay, sitting down stinks. He's got this gun digging into the small of his back, okay? So he's not gonna wanna lean back in his chair really at all right? Another, and you can stay there, another negative aspect of the small of the back carry is if he's driving. If he's driving along, right, and he needs to get to that firearm, or seated in any situation, access to that firearm is very difficult, okay? Okay, very difficult, okay? So that's another con. Now, stand up, please. Now, the other thing about it is, again, stacking up with speed, it is slower than the traditional, slower than the Appendix, again, all things being equal. Another thing that you have to consider, and any of you folks out there that have had hand-to-hand training knows the concept of the chicken wing. This is the chicken wing position. Everybody knows that this position in a fist fight or hand-to-hand fight is a bad position to be in. Okay, well, let's take a look at how many chicken wings we have here. In order for Brendan to access his firearm, he needs to take his support hand and do a chicken wing to reveal the garment. He then needs to take his primary hand to get the gun, which point leaving his front side vulnerable to all sorts of attack in a close-in engagement. Now, many of you out there that are doing small of the back are like, well, I'm gonna get some distance. Sure, you're gonna wanna get some distance, whether it's small of the back, Appendix, or even traditional. Okay, do we always have that opportunity? Not so much. Even if he did get distance, say he got a couple feet away, okay, and he does that chicken wing, I'm gonna use that opportunity to come in anyway, okay? So you have to purposefully go into a vulnerable position with both hands behind your back to properly draw that thing. So those are some considerations with the most popular carry methods that go along your waist, okay? Now, I'm not here to say, we're not here to say this one's better, that one's worse, and all that stuff. If you want to carry small of the back or Appendix or traditional, knock yourself out. Yep. Understand the pros, understand the cons, and how are you going to properly mitigate those cons or exploit the pros. That's it. You make your own decision what is best for you. Anything to add?
Yeah, make it work for you. Like personally, I'm not comfortable carrying a small gun, so I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit comfort so I can carry a bigger gun, right? And that's just me, right? If you like comfort, then go ahead and do 4 o'clock, right? But actually depends though, because there's actually people with body types out there that can Appendix carry all day long.
Right,
so
right.
It is all about you.
Consider your body type, your abilities, flexibility, things like that. Wardrobe that you're wearing, your activities, what are you going to be doing? Are you going to be physically active? Are you going to be sitting at a desk? Those are all considerations for where you carry. And then of course, and not least, is comfort. Okay, if you are not comfortable in your carry position, you are going to be less prone to carry. You're going to look at that rig and you're going to be like, I don't need to carry today, which is potentially the wrong decision. So take those things into consideration, pick which is best for you, and whatever you pick, train to it. Train to high proficiency so that way you can defeat any of those cons and you're good to go. Hey gang, every Tuesday we drop a video for you, so if you want to stay in the know about training tips, gun mods, and all the things, challenges, and even sometimes all the crazy laws that are coming out, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss a one.